Wonder is magic, amazement, curiosity, something that I believe comes a little bit like a shooting star. You know, you come across it, you maybe hope for it, you know it exists, but then it's almost like this beautiful blessing you get. My subjects could be anything, and by that I mean I come across maybe a room, an empty room where there is a poster of or postcard for Marlon Brando, and then I'm drawn obviously to that picture of him within that setting, within that empty room of a teenager, and then I create my own story and I take a picture. One Day in November is an homage to my friend Giselle Freund, who was also a very legendary photographer. And I was very lucky to become friends with her during my time when I was a photography student in Paris. But I never really dared to show her my work. I was very intimidated by her. In December 2008, she would have turned 100 years old, and I actually decided to dedicate a whole book to her, which is now has become One Day in November, and it's an homage to her, to our friendship, and I also wanted to show in which way she has influenced me. I think it's even the ordinary life of every day that I'm quite fascinated by. Some people, they think, oh, the most magical things or people, places you find when you travel very far to an exotic country. But it all depends on the eye of the beholder, on what you think it is beautiful. And to me, it's not necessarily that I find the wonder or the beauty in those kind of obvious countries. For me, I really see the beauty in the raw, in the very banal and everyday of life. I'm open to anything that comes my way, if in the end it expresses what I'm looking for. In my pictures, what I think is important is a few elements, and of course the first element within my photography is light, its composition, and of course it's it's a subject matter. It could be half-eaten apple lying in a puddle. It could be a leaf falling on the ground. Light brings life to your photograph because you need light and shadow. It gives it like a sculptural feeling. It gives it a perspective. Sunlight is always good because it gives you light and shadow, that play with light and shadow. But sometimes you can be also in a room and have various light sources within that room. And that can work as well. I always like to use the light that is available. Sometimes when we talk about wonder, there's also this kind of quality like being, you know, childlike. You discover something, there's a shooting star, you see the moon and you're like, oh, this is so beautiful, it's wonderful, it's amazing. But I think a big part it is, as being a photographer, is to be open to the world and allow for all this beauty that is really out there. I guess, you know, there are times when you feel very inspired and very creative, and during that time I always was traveling. I was in Europe, I was in America, and I basically, during that whole time, I had my camera with me all the time, and I was looking and I was trying to see things and come across. I can't even imagine half of the time the pictures I can find. I mean, can you invent that you're gonna come across a banana peel that is in an open suitcase and that has poetry the way it's lying there? But when I see them, I see that they have a potential and that there's something important that goes beyond that just there's a banana peel in a suitcase. Sometimes there's a little scenario, and it can be in the backyard, it can be in the most obscure room, setting, location, and you feel that there's something, and you're kind of going to something that your eye is catching, that you're interested in, and then you have that kind of scenario where you're a little bit dancing around and you're searching like a hunter for that composition, for that image, whatever it is you want to express. But then there are other scenarios where you come across a situation and there's instantly the photograph I see. I give you an example. I was in Salzburg in Austria visiting a photographer friend of mine, and during my stay there one morning he was just doing pancakes. So I was woken up by the smell of pancakes and went into the kitchen in my pajamas, and then there was this beautiful light in this kitchen, and then what really caught my eye was that there was a hand from my friend Andrew on the window. And I said, Andrew, there's no time to eat pancakes now. I need to take a picture. And I said, we gotta hurry because the light is changing. So like within a few seconds, we set up a tripod and I said, okay, I'm gonna take just 2 or 3 frames. This is a picture that I can only see in a certain way. There is no dancing around. I see it, I got it. I'm definitely open to a variety of things, objects, scenarios, feelings, interiors. I always look, when I work on a project, for a certain theme or subject matter, but then it's really what I find, these individual photographs that describe it each time in a different way. Sometimes pictures also come towards me while I'm enjoying my time myself with my family, my friends. Well, one of the examples I can give you, it was a picture that was in One Day in November. It's called Miracle. There's a particular time in July when they have fireworks in Heidelberg near the castle. So we all decided to go with the publishing house. And there were these sellers and they sold light sticks, everything these kind of LED lights. And I was, because I have an obsession with light, I was fascinated by them and I bought a few. I thought it was quite fascinating, and a friend of mine saw me doing it and he says, oh, I want to do it. And I gave him one of the light sticks and I said, well, twist and turn and create a dance. And we were just all very in an exuberant mood. So he was painting with the light stick into the night, and I said, just try, and I'm gonna just experiment and take pictures of it. And I saw the picture and I was literally jumping up and down like a child because I got it. It was this beautiful star explosion of capturing something, and it seemed like a miracle, like a wonder. And we were all like screaming and laughing when we saw the photograph, and we thought we got it. And you know, it was just such a nice moment. And I said, you know what, this picture belongs into One Day in November. And they said, really, you want to use it? And I said, yes, I need this picture in One Day in November because it is about miracles. This was after Chinese New Year's. It was on Canal Street in New York. The confetti left from the celebration the next day. And this image, yeah, I took it in Canada when I was staying with Giselle's family, with Tony and Henriette. They invited me to come and spend the weekend with them in Canada. And that's kind of originally when the idea of doing a book for Giselle, One Day in November, got started. That's the first time I kind of spoke about it, that I had this idea, and that was in their house. I think you should make mistakes. You should try things out, because by trying things out, you will find your way. What am I interested in? What is it that I look for? What is the things or people I want to capture? So I think experimentation is an important key part. But also I think for somebody who wants to start anything or something, it's good to have an idea, to allow yourself to have a little guideline. What is it that I'm looking for? It is wonderful to be able to do a work that you love and you believe in, and that if you're lucky you can make a living with it. It's fantastic. But the truth behind this, even to get to a certain level, is there's no secret. It's really hard work, and it's dedication. It's a complete investment. So I would recommend, once you have that passion anyway, and you really determined of dedicating your life, your work to photography, then I think what Giselle told me, which was a very beautiful advice, she says, of course, then at the beginning, all these art forms, they involve technique. So it is important to know your technique, to know about various cameras. It's important to know about lighting. But once you have acknowledged the techniques that are out there and that are available, and you have found your own way of how you want to express yourself, you got to forget the technique, and you really got to take pictures with your heart. You know when a picture is good or bad. Not only the photographer, but also the viewer. We all know when it's a good picture or a superficial picture, or you just feel it.